What's up, buddy, man? It's the Bronco at the Frog coming at you with another reaction video. We got the man Top Bins. We ain't reacting to a Top Bins video in a minute in honor of all the Ballon d'Or discussion that's being later. Who deserves Ballon d'Or this season? Do we got Ousmane Dembele? Do we got young Rafinha? Do we got Pedri? Do we got Mean Mall? Do we got Mo Salah? It all depends on who wins what. It all depends on who wins the Champions League, to be honest with you. Because if PSG win the Champions League, Ousmane Dembele is a 2025 Ballon d'Or. You know what I'm saying? If they lose, now we got a discussion. Now we got more discussions whether he goes here or there. I only said Pedri, so people, because you know Pedri has a super duper diehard fan base riding behind him, saying he's the player on Barcelona who deserves the Ballon d'Or. Pedri boys is saying that he deserves it over Mean Mall and Rafinha. That's what Twitch chat was saying. YouTube chat. Let me know what y'all think about that. But anyway, by the man Top Bins, like I said, go subscribe to him, get him to 80,000 subscribers. Every player who should have won a Ballon d'Or, and why? You already know first player come to my mind. We got Erling Haaland 2023. We got Vinicius Jr. 2024. Back to back straight like that. Let's see what goes down.
The Ballon d'Or is the award given to the best player in Europe that year. Or at least that's what it's supposed to be, because that's not always what happens. So I'm going to be looking at the last 30 years and telling you the 13 players who should have won a Ballon d'Or. And whilst some of these decisions are debatable, others are just straight up robberies. And if we roll back the clock to 1996, a 20-year-old Ronaldo Nazario should have become the youngest ever winner. But the mesmerizing step-over king missed out on glory by a single point because the Ballon d'Or was bizarrely given to Matthias. Missed out on glory by a single point because the Ballon.
That's you. Tell me that ain't Thog Man right there.
Ballon d'Or was
hey, that is
given to Matthias Sommer, who was great, but he was no R9. Now, Sommer was a world-class player in his own right, but his individual performances were not comparable to R9's magic. And in this case, the German, like many winners on our list, was handed the award.
Hey, Thog to be everywhere, boy. That man even time traveling now. That man be everywhere. That man done invented time travel.
Bizarrely given to Matthias Sommer, who was great, but he was no R9. Now, Sommer was a world-class player in his own right, but his individual performances were not comparable to R9's magic. And in this case, the German, like many winners on our list, was handed the award more so because of his team success rather than his own extraordinary brilliance. Because in 1995-96, Sommer's club level and international teams had legendary campaigns. During the domestic season, Sommer played 32 times and totted up 10 clean sheets as Dortmund retained the Bundesliga title. Meanwhile, at international level, the 29-year-old played every minute of every game, scored twice, and was voted the tournament's best player as Germany lifted the illustrious Continental.
There it is. Hey, he was voted the tournament best player, so he got Ballon d'Or. I mean, I guess they keeping it consistent with, you know, 2023 and whatnot.
Trophy. The Dortmund man revolutionized the way the beautiful game was played during the 90s with his passing abilities and intricate touches from deep, being years ahead of its time, so players, supporters, and the media purred as the 29-year-old controlled domestic games easily with his superior technical ability, vision, and leadership. Yet, despite his brilliance, few believed Sommer was the world's greatest player ahead of Ronaldo. Because the 20-year-old was unplayable during the 95-96 campaign. The Brazilian, who just signed for Barcelona, destroyed practically every defense he came up against as he scored 47 goals in 49.
I know how it's different. I was finna say, you know, this man, OG Nardo, played for Barcelona in both Real Madrid and Barcelona, just like Figo did. Why boys didn't keep that same energy? It's because OG Nardo didn't go right from Lona to Real Madrid like Figo did. I already know I answered my question.
Appearances across all competitions.
47
and
goals.
Ronaldo wasn't a poacher. Some of his goals using a deadly combination of pace, elegance, and skill. He was a work of art. And the Barca bagsman wasn't just being touted as the world's best. Many felt that the electric Brazilian forward could become the game's greatest ever player. But the rest of Barcelona's team started that season, and without a La Liga, Champions League, or international trophy across the calendar year, R9 had to settle for a ridiculously harsh second place in the Ballon d'Or rankings, but at least Ronaldo would get his Ballon d'Or eventually. But
bro, by 1 point. That's how great 20-year-old Ronaldo was. He lost a Ballon d'Or by 1 point during a season that they won nothing.
Champions League or international trophy.
Look, That shows how great he is. Hey, Meemaw gonna be right there behind you, baby.
Year,
wait till next year.
R9 had to settle for a ridiculously harsh second place in the Ballon d'Or rankings, but at least Ronaldo would get his Ballon d'Or eventually. But the same can't be said about David Beckham. Because in Man United's iconic treble-winning season, he's set to win the award, but ultimately fell short by Barcelona's newest Brazilian legend, Rivaldo. The upcoming Brazilian prodigy made 40 goal contributions in 36 appearances as Barcelona stormed their way to the La Liga title. And Barca's new hero wasn't done there.
That nigga had to paint all up on his chin and face.
And Barca's new hero was as Barcelona stormed their way to the La Liga title.
And Barca's new hero. Look at that. Got it all up on his chin. Man, wipe your mouth, bro.
Wasn't done there. At that summer's Copa America tournament, he scored 5 times, including 2 in a 3-0 final victory over Uruguay. But despite Rivaldo's La Liga and Copa America triumphs, providing an eye-watering 47 goal contributions in the process, the argument can be made that this award should have gone home with David Beckham with his lethal crossing skills and pinpoint set-piece deliveries. The Englishman was no stranger to the world's brightest lights, and it seemed a formality that he would bask in Ballon d'Or glory, because Beckham's 10 goal contributions in 10 matches were instrumental to United's iconic 1999 Champions League victory, while his form in the Premier League was the stuff of legend. The United wide man's ability is unfairly represented by stats. Without his relentless work rate, passing, and defensive prowess, who knows whether United would have even come close to winning the treble.
It ain't all about stats. Stats don't tell the whole story. Watch the games.
That year. But unfortunately, he missed out on the world-famous Golden Ball to Rivaldo, as voters must have based their decisions on goals and assists, because if they watched Beckham's all-round performances weekly, there's no way the Englishman wouldn't have been drowning in Ballon d'Or glory. But if Beckham's snub was a travesty, there are no words to describe the injustice that Thierry Henry didn't get his hands on the trophy in 2003, because that year's Ballon d'Or winner, Pavel Nedved, was light years behind the French superstar. While Henry's pace, finishing, and audaciousness made defenders tremble, Nedved's performances were solid, but unspectacular. The 31-year-old was tasked with replacing the great Zinedine Zidane at Juventus, but his style was hardly comparable to Zizou. While his predecessor cruised through games with skill, elegance, and grace, Nedved was better known for tenacity, stamina, and long-range shooting. Still, despite less flair, the Czech international was equally functional, as he was Juventus's most important player during their 0-2-0-3 Serie A triumph, scoring 9 goals in 29 appearances. And he almost led the Italian club to a famous Champions League title. During his semi-final against Real Madrid, Nedved scored a stunning goal and provided an assist to knock out the reigning champions Real Madrid. But the Juventus star was suspended for the final, and his teammates lost out on penalties to AC Milan, making his Ballon d'Or win even more baffling.
Just gonna say, that should be a deduction right there. He ain't even playing a final.
More baffling. Could a leadership role in a solitary Serie A title seriously trump Henry's out-of-this-world ability? The Frenchman was by far the world's most electric attacker in 2003.
I would have been so mad if I was
Henry would effortlessly glide past dazzled defenders and scored 24 times in 33 Premier League matches for Arsenal. But Arsenal's number 14 game was so much more than scoring goals. He was faster than Ronaldo, more decisive than he was 4 times in 33 Premier League matches.
How much you want to bet if Thierry Henry had this exact same season, like during these days, people would downplay it? How much you want to bet? Messi, Ronaldo done spoiled everybody. That done spoiled a whole bunch of people. Hey, we are going back to normal. Even still, that man Haaland still had an uber crazy year. But you know what I'm saying? Him. They say him because of nostalgia, but if he played during this, boys will say average season. They'll say he's average. Bang average, isn't it? Look at that.
For Arsenal, but Arsenal's number 14 game was so much more than scoring goals. He was faster than Ronaldo, more decisive than Van Nistelrooy, and as skillful as Ronaldinho. Unfortunately, during more decisive than Van Nistelrooy and as skillful as Ronaldinho.
Really? Was Thierry Henry as skillful as Ronaldinho? What y'all think? Yay or nay? Fro say no. I need like a real football fan to let me know. All right, the real footy fans have spoken. He say no, they was glazed, especially Real Living. If Real Living say they glazing shit, they glazing.
Unfortunately, during 02-03, Henry's Arsenal teammates were not on his level. They finished the season with just an FA Cup to show for the French forward's brilliance, and so Nedved's Serie A winning leadership skills were viewed as superior by Ballon d'Or voters.
Leadership
as the Juventus
skills
skipper cleared Titty by a whopping 62 points.
Look and see how they do. See how boys would be making shit up just to give Ballon d'Or to they boy, to they golden boys. Talk about some leadership skills. That gives me fair play vibes.
Serie A winning leadership skills were viewed as superior by Ballon d'Or voters as the Juventus skipper cleared Titty by a whopping 62 points. And voters must have had something against Henry because even when he scored 30 Premier League goals and Arsenal achieved an unprecedented invincible title, he still couldn't get his hands on the Ballon d'Or because Andriy Shevchenko, a striker with fewer league goals that season and undoubtedly a less explosive play style, got his hands on the award instead. Now, the Ukrainian striker was devastating in his own right, but even he would probably admit that he wasn't the world's greatest player at the time. His 24 goals in 32 Serie A appearances were crucial to AC Milan's title win, but with few additional achievements in European or international football, finding reason for Shevchenko to win the Ballon d'Or ahead of Henry is troubling. And what makes the AC Milan striker's victory even more confusing, there were other generational individual seasons elsewhere in Europe too. Deco eventually became among football's most creative technicians, but it was during the 03-04 season when he finally gained global recognition, as the Brazilian was Porto's most instrumental player during their shock Champions League triumph under Mourinho, with the midfielder effortlessly dictating games as Porto and Deco sent Man United, Lyon, and Monaco crashing out. Meanwhile, there aren't even words to describe the outrageousness of Ronaldinho's skill during 2004, because the juggling Samba genius made a mockery of defenders on a weekly basis as he provided 22 La Liga goal contributions, a mockery of defenders on 2004 because the juggling Samba genius
really
made a mockery of defenders on a weekly basis as he provided 22 La Liga goal contributions in the most mesmerizing way imaginable. But despite Deco, Ronaldinho, and Henry playing the beautiful game in a more flamboyant fashion and achieving similar individual accolades to Shevchenko, the trio had to settle for respective second, third, and fourth place finishes. Now, as far as I'm concerned, it was a couple more years before we saw a debatable Ballon d'Or victory, with the next questionable victory coming in 2010. But
wow. So they said they had correct choice after correct choice after correct choice for like what, 7 years in a row? Here we go, 2010, controversial.
The biggest robberies are yet to come. But before we get there, please subscribe.
Hey, go subscribe.
Now that that's out of the way,
Top
in
binge.
2010, yet again, there were 3 players who felt they had the right to lift the award, but these were all beaten out by none other than Lionel Messi.
Messi fans, don't dislike the video, bro. Don't dislike the video. I know y'all finna dislike. I know y'all finna be in the comments all mad and shit. I know, bro. Just hear him out real quick. Hear him out. Hey, hear him out, Messi FC. Let's hear him out first before y'all get going mad.
By none other than Lionel Messi. The fact that Xavi, Iniesta, and Snyder all ended their careers empty-handed in terms of golden balls is a testament to Messi's brilliance. Or was there more to it? Let's be real. During the 09-10 season, Messi was slowly starting to scare the footballing world. Dribbling skills so deadly they hadn't been seen since the days of Diego Maradona. His passing was comparable with the game's greatest playmakers, and he made a jaw-dropping 45 goal contributions in 34 La Liga appearances as Barca retained the title. So why would Messi, who also topped the season's Champions League scoring charts, not be a clear winner of the 2010 Ballon d'Or? The answer is intriguing. Messi's most talented Barcelona teammates, Xavi and Andres Iniesta, were 2 of the greatest players the game has seen. Their genius, game-dictating tiki-taka interplay prevented opposition teams from getting close to Barcelona. And the Spanish duo continued their deadly midfield partnership on the international stage, making the 2010 World Cup look like a walk in the park, as Xavi and Iniesta ensured their nation lifted the trophy with ease. Meanwhile, Messi, away from his dependable midfield duo, struggled to replicate his form for Argentina.
Yeah, I remember what y'all said 2023. World Cup this, World Cup that, World Cup means this, World Cup mean that. What about 2010? Hey, man.
Barca great scored just once for Argentina between October 09 and October 2010 and failed to make any sort of impact.
Scored just once for Argentina
in October 2010 and the Barca great scored just once for Argentina between October 09 and October 20.
Only scored for once for Argentina in a whole year. Ballon d'Or for Messi.
10 and failed to make any sort of impact as his nation crashed out of the World Cup early.
Now all of a sudden World Cup don't mean nothing.
Mentioned Snyder yet. His omission for the Ballon d'Or podium is among football's biggest robberies. The Dutchman made 23 goal contributions as Inter Milan completed a Serie A, Champions League, and Coppa Italia treble. And if that wasn't enough, Snyder scored 5 times in 7 matches as the Netherlands reached an unlikely World Cup final. But Inter Milan's 09-10 hero was unfairly overlooked. He finished behind Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, all players he knocked out of the Champions League semifinals in the Ballon d'Or rankings.
Oh, so Messi ain't even win a champ?
He knocked out of the Champions League final, but Inter Milan's 09-10 hero was unfairly overlooked. He finished behind Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, all players he knocked out of the Champions League semifinals.
So they ain't even win the Champions League? They ain't even make the finals? He should have been above Messi. Xavi and Iniesta should have been, that should have been the top 3 right there. Messi shouldn't have even been in the top 3.
In the Ballon d'Or ranking.
If the Ballon d'Or is about winning and whatnot and doing this and that, like boys allude us to think.
But by 2013, Snyder had lost his way and Messi versus Ronaldo debates were approaching their peak. Messi, off the back of a La Liga and Champions League glory with Barcelona, won the next 2 Ballon d'Or trophies, but Ronaldo was on a mission to end Messi's dominance. Yet, while everybody was talking about the legendary El Clasico duo, there was an even better player tearing up European football. Ribery, who got overlooked from 2013's Ballon d'Or.
Hey, all right, Messi FC, there you go. Now they talking about Nardo Rodri. For you say Bronco, oh, Bronco, you hate on Messi, bro. Why you don't like Messi, this and that, bro. Now it's Nardo turn. Come on now.
A 28-year-old Ronaldo, fueled by the fury of missing out on the previous 2 awards, was pretty unstoppable. The Portuguese superstar scored 69 goals in all competitions, more than any other player that year, including 34 goals during the 12-13 La Liga campaign. But despite CR7's heroics, neither Madrid nor Portugal won anything of significance as Bayern Munich hoarded Europe's major continental trophies. Leading the charge for the Bavarians was Frank Ribery. He registered 22 goals and 18 assists across 52 appearances and was the main man as Bayern swept the Champions League, Super Cup, Club World Cup, Bundesliga, German Cup, and German Super Cup.
Damn, and that's 6 trophies?
From the world's best team. And with no international tournament in 2013 to complicate voting, it seemed obvious that the French superstar would clinch the Ballon d'Or, with the Frenchman even going as far as to say, with the utmost and maximum humility and respect, Messi and Ronaldo were not better than me in 2013.
Hey, he deserved that, hoe. If it's about winning. You know, like I said, the criteria changes every year. Frank Ribery got robbed. Messi FC, y'all feel good about that? Me saying that Frank Ribery got robbed? With the Ronaldo Ballon d'Or.
Humility and respect, Messi and Ronaldo were not better than me in 2013. The 2013 Ballon d'Or will forever remain an injustice. I'm still looking for an explanation. I had the perfect year. I couldn't have done better. But it was hard to compete with Messi and Ronaldo that decade as a forward. But imagine trying to do so as a goalkeeper. Because in 2014, Manuel Neuer had a pretty much perfect year, but yet still wasn't able to walk away with the award. Now, let's be clear. The Portuguese superstar did have another special season because Ronaldo scored 61 goals across the calendar year and helped Real Madrid lift their first Champions League in 12 seasons. But the argument can be made that Neuer's performances and goalkeeping style changed the tactical structure of the game.
Yeah, a goalkeeper, I feel like a goalkeeper ain't never go win Ballon d'Or. And I forgot to bring up the people in the top. We gotta add Donnarumma in that top 5 for Ballon d'Or, bro. Officially. Y'all remember that website I clicked on that had Donnarumma? It don't matter if the betting odds is official or not, but the type of year that he been having, hey, we throwing Donnarumma in there in the mix for top 5 Ballon d'Or.
Boss Pep Guardiola took charge of Munich, and Neuer continued to revolutionize their devastating title-winning approach. The German sweeper role under Guardiola was revolutionary. It popularized elite teams playing out from the back and utilizing their goalkeepers as an additional outfield player while in possession. Neuer had midfielder-like passing ability, often displayed from way outside of his box, which gave Bayern a spearman during build-up, and as a result, Guardiola's side eased to 4 trophies during 13-14.
So Let me use y'all same logic. Let me ask y'all some questions real quick. Manuel Neuer was the best goalkeeper in the world, right? Why that man ain't win Ballon d'Or? Bro, Bronco, Rodri deserves Ballon d'Or because he's the best midfielder in the world. I'm like, so? The fuck? That mean? He's the best defensive midfielder in the world, bro. I'm just saying. I'm just keeping that same logic, carrying that same logic. The man Manuel Neuer was the best goalkeeper in the world and won all these trophies. Why that man ain't win? You know what I'm saying? Why the best right back, left back? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just keeping the whole Rodri debate. I'm just still
unprecedented
distribution,
that Rodri revolutionary tactical role, and 25 club-level clean sheets weren't enough to win the Ballon d'Or. The sweeper keeper had the small matter of winning the 2014 World Cup, keeping 4 clean sheets in the process.
Whoa. And he won the World Cup. No, come on now. You can't say this is not a rivalry, Eunice. Fuck no. Everything that he won with the club and the World Cup on top of that. Is the World Cup not the end-all be-all? Is that not the end-all be-all? Or is that only matter when it's Messi? Feel me?
His list of accolades. Unfortunately for Guardiola's trusty goalkeeper, Ronaldo's form was unrelenting. He picked up the Ballon d'Or. Messi finished second for the second year running.
He ain't even finished third. He ain't even finished second, I mean.
Third place Neuer grimly watched on as the pair stole the spotlight and surrounded.
Real Living say Rodri was allegedly the best defensive midfielder with worse defensive stats than Rice, Bellingham, and worse passing than Cruz. Nigga was just a tempo setter, nothing more. I still can't see how that man was that. Mitch say, you realize Ronaldo won this. It don't matter if they agree with me or not. I'm just making sure that narratives are consistent.
Surrounding media coverage. And Neuer's entitled to feel aggravated. No German player in the Bundesliga has won the Ballon d'Or since Matthias Sommer in 1996. And no goalkeeper has ever claimed the award. It makes you wonder, just how good does a goalkeeper have to be to win the trophy? Because in 2014, Bayern's keeper was pretty much unstoppable. Yeah. And just like goalkeepers, defenders face the same uphill battle when it comes to the Ballon d'Or. Because defensive genius Virgil van Dijk became the world's most influential player of 2019, but was overlooked for the Ballon d'Or as Messi got his hands on the prize thanks to 36 goals and a La Liga title to his name. Now, Messi was a complete player this season. His stats may have declined, but his performances did not. But the towering Dutch defender's impeccable year proved why defensive players can, on occasion, be equally astounding and game-deciding as their attacking teammates. Before Van Dijk arrived at Liverpool, the English club's attack of Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, Mo Salah, and Philippe Coutinho made the Copites one of Europe's most entertaining teams, but their leaky defense would prevent them from competing for major tournaments. But in January 2018, the £75 million arrival of Van Dijk changed everything. Immediately, Liverpool's new rockin' defense galvanized the team to reach their first Champions League in a decade, but they'd be beaten 3-1 by Real Madrid. During the following 18-19 season, Van Dijk was different. He wasn't just a game-changing signing. He was undeniably the world's best defender, as Liverpool achieved 97 points in the Premier League and won the Champions League with an impeccable defensive record. And it wasn't as if Van Dijk was a simple ball winner at the back. His technical ability evidenced by an audacious 70-yard assist against Bayern Munich. But despite Messi crumbling under Van Dijk's pressure in a Champions League assist against Bayern Munich, Messi crumbling under Van Dijk's pressure in a Champions League semi-final at Anfield, the Argentine won the prestigious individual prize. But in 2020, the Argentine won the prestigious individual prize. Who y'all think should have won it in 2019?
He said Liverpool didn't win the league. Hey, they won the Champions League, though. You know what I'm saying? What that boy DeMarcus Cousins say?
But in 2020, we have arguably the biggest robbery
really
on
just
this
straight
list.
out
And this time, it wasn't a player, but the coronavirus that stole the Ballon d'Or out of Robert Lewandowski's hands, like I said, over regulations Zoom? Around social distancing and international travel prompted UEFA to controversially cancel the year's Ballon d'Or ceremony. Sure, the event might have been challenging logistically, but there's no reason why the award itself needed to be canceled. After all, during the pandemic, football adapted to the world's climate with games played in empty stadiums with social distancing measures applied. And the award's cancellation must have been devastating for Lewandowski because the Polish striker's lockdown form was out of this world. He scored a staggering 15 goals in 10 Champions League appearances as Bayern Munich stormed their way to the Champions League and added another 34 in the Bundesliga. By contrast, Lewandowski's genuine Ballon d'Or rivals endured average seasons. Messi's Barcelona were humiliated 8-2 by Lewandowski's Bayern in a Champions League semi-final, and Ronaldo, while still great, was no longer a realistic contender for the Ballon d'Or. So, if the 2020 award was handed out, Lewandowski's name would have undoubtedly been on the trophy. And if Bayern's relentless goal scorer was frustrated in 2020, he must have been outraged in 2021 because he unjustly missed out on the Ballon d'Or for the second consecutive year, as Messi clinched the storied individual award. In fairness, the 5'7" magician was head and shoulders above almost every opponent he faced that year. Messi scored 30 and assisted 11 goals in the 2021 La Liga campaign, but Barcelona fell to a third-place finish and crashed out of the Champions League in the round of 16. Given Lewandowski's crazy goal record, Messi's Ballon d'Or hopes, without a majority trophy in the bag, were looking thin. But during this summer's Copa America, Messi's mesmerizing individual form continued as he captained Argentina to glory, providing 9 goal contributions
so now
in the
Copa
process.
America up there, hey, Copa America is massive then. A lot of people always be talking down on the Copa America. The man Messi won the Ballon d'Or because of the Copa America.
Despite the little Argentine's international success, uncomfortable questions must be asked about the Argentine's 8-trophy Ballon d'Or
It's right in front of our face,
people say he just did not deserve the 2021 award. Lewandowski was in a different stratosphere
it's
to Messi
right in
during
front of our face.
Fresh off the previous year's Ballon d'Or controversy,
next
the
is
Polish
2023.
41 times in just 29 Bundesliga appearances. That's an average of
an astonishing. He said he deserved it in 21 because of the Copa America? He said Copa America really mattered than Lautaro Martinez would have won. Hey, you know how they do, bro, real living. They pick and choose. They change the criteria on who they want to win that hoe or not, bro.
Given Bayern's 2020 Champions League winning hero missed out on the previous year's award due to coronavirus restrictions, you'd think voters would take into account Lewandowski's sustained world-leading form. But in the very next season, the story repeated itself.
We seen it happen live. We seen it live in full effect. This is Bronco's era. Bronco seen this robbery happen. We seen this one. Haaland. He still deserves his Ballon d'Or to this day. To this day. To this day.
But this time, Haaland was the victim instead of Lewandowski.
Crazy.
Haaland's 22-23 campaign was 12 months of record-breaking
crazy.
Genius, but he missed out on the prize due to Messi's 7-game World Cup heroics. The rest of Messi's year was uneventful. In fact, heading into the 2022 World Cup, some critics questioned whether Messi was finished from the top level. Because in 2021, Messi moved to Ligue 1's PSG and
playing in a weaker league.
Supporters assumed the former Barcelona great would finish his career with goals flying in. But at PSG,
this got to be like the biggest robbery of all time,
Barcelona,
bro. Right next
struggled to find the back of the net. During a lousy 21-22 Ligue 1 campaign, Messi notched just 6 times in 26 appearances. The following campaign wasn't much better. The Argentine bagged a mediocre 16 league.
This 2023, the Ballon d'Or conversation had Messi FC trying to hype up Uber Eats stats. Mo in 2025 was hyping up League 1.
League goals less than the totals of Balogun, Lacazette, Ben Yedder, and several other barely noted. Less than the totals of Balogun. Lacazette, Ben Yedder, and several other barely known attackers. Messi's career looked set to fizzle out without replicating the heights of his Barcelona brilliance until the 2022 World Cup. The game's biggest trophy had eluded Messi throughout his illustrious career, and this was
he said we got Balogun name being mentioned in the Ballon d'Or video.
Final chance for the Argentine to get his hands on the award that would cement his legacy as the world's greatest ever player. Despite a shocking opening match defeat to Saudi Arabia, Messi dragged his nation to to World Cup glory with 10 goal contributions across the tournament as Argentina beat France on penalties in the final. Messi's tournament heroics completed a legendary career and earned him greatest player of all time plaudits, but he was nowhere near the greatest player that year because during the 2022-23 season, while Messi struggled at club level, Haaland was setting the Premier League on fire. The Norwegian monster arrived in Manchester during
records on top of records on top of records.
Despite scoring 62 goals in 67 Bundesliga appearances, there were question marks over whether he could replicate his form in the Premier League. But doubters were quickly
I was doubting him
silenced.
too, to be honest.
The 6'4" striker scored an almost unbelievable 18 goals in his opening 13 Premier League fixtures.
You had Messi FC really out here discrediting this man Haaland's season in his goal. Bro, you scored no tap-ins. Bro, it doesn't matter. Bro, he can't dribble. He's a fucking striker. Bro, but he can't.
And his form didn't wane. By the end of the season, Haaland had shattered the Premier League goal record, scoring 36 goals in 35 appearances, netted an additional 12 in Europe, and proved to be this missing piece in City's jigsaw.
Stupid.
Even
in
though
the
Pep
Champions
Guardiola's
League.
team would dominate the Premier League season after
tournament.
season, they always seemed to fall just short in the Champions League.
But they
during
won
the
it for the
22-23
first
season
time.
with Haaland leading the line, City were unstoppable. Haaland bullied Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and Inter Milan defenders as the citizens cruised to their first Champions League trophy, wrapping up an iconic treble alongside the Premier League and FA Cup. The Norwegian's legacy instantly became immortal, and with 36 Premier League goals, he undoubtedly looked set to get his hands on the Ballon d'Or. But to the shock of Haaland and Man City supporters, the record-breaking striker missed out to Messi due to his fairy tale 7-game 2022 World Cup triumph. The Argentines' tournament victory was
This is when I knew that shit
historic,
was rigged
even
for real.
GOAT-defining. But outside those 7 games, the rest of his year, he barely
7
made a
fucking
ripple.
games.
By 2024, Messi had left European football and
2024,
was
another
finally out of
robbery.
the running for the Ballon d'Or. But yet again, it seems like an international trophy swayed the voters to an unjust winner as Rodri somehow edged out Vini Jr. despite the Brazilian's sensational performances. This doesn't mean to say Rodri wasn't among the world's best players in 2024, but understanding why the Man City midfielder finished ahead of Vini Jr. is tricky. He was spectacular during City's Premier League title win. Rodri's passing, positional awareness, and dictation of the tempo made City almost impossible to beat, and his 12 goal contributions from deep positions might have been the difference between Guardiola's team winning the league and losing out to Arsenal. And Rodri's brilliant season continued into the Euros as Spain's mesmerizing possession-based football won the tournament.
Then he got yanked during the final.
Germany, France, and England along the way.
And he ain't even win Premier League Player of the Tournament. I'm not Player of the Tournament. He ain't even win Premier League Player of the Season. It was his other teammate, Philip Foden. He ain't Premier League Player of the Year. But guess what? He's the best player in the world.
While Rodri only scored once, he was instrumental in the style of play that made his nation clear of their opponents. Admittedly, the Spanish midfielder was unplayable throughout 23-24, but on how many other occasions has this been enough to win a Ballon d'Or? After all, the Ballon d'Or's only midfield winners in the 21st century are Modric, Kaká. After all, but
when has this been enough?
Occasions has this been enough to win a Ballon d'Or?
It's all because of narrative. This Ballon d'Or is not about how good Rodri is. This Ballon d'Or is on how much people does not like Vinicius Jr., and I stand on that statement. This was more so a slight at Vinny, trying to tell him or trying to figureheads, trying to let him know how much they don't like him versus, like I said, how great Rodri was.
After all, the Ballon d'Or's only midfield winners in the 21st century are Modric, Kaká, and Zidane. Can Rodri's name seriously be mentioned alongside these guys?
Can it?
Far superior midfielders to Rodri like Xavi,
Let me know something. Can Rodri's name be mentioned with Luka Modric, Kaká, and Zidane? Are we mentioning his name with those greats? Hell no. Game's gone. Junior say yes. Gelato say hell no. Barca say hell no. All right, that's all I'm trying to see.
Kaká and Zidane. Can Rodri's name seriously be mentioned alongside these guys?
He said he's going to be the most forgotten. And he already forgotten. Rodri's already forgotten. Primarily because he's injured. But when he comes back, I guarantee you, Bro, it's because he was hurt. Bro, he's a defensive midfielder. How much shine do you want him to get? I guarantee you ain't nobody finna be checking for Rodri when he come back.
Far superior midfielders to Rodri like Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Vieira, Gerrard, and Lampard were voted behind attacking greats in the past, so why was Rodri considered greater than Vini in 2024?
Fair play.
Because in 2024, the debate over Vini's ability came to a screeching halt. No more doubts, no more comparisons. For the first time in his career, there were no questions about whether he was the real deal or just another overhyped Brazilian winger. During the 23-24 season, the Real Madrid star's electrifying pace, exceptional dribbling, and clinical finishing helped Vini score 24 goals, earning him both La Liga and Champions League winner medals. On paper, Vini was miles ahead of Rodri as he single-handedly secured crucial victories for Real Madrid with his electrifying talent.
Big-time player.
Played a more understated role, elevating his teammates' performances. And the Brazilian was understandably so convinced that he'd win the Ballon d'Or, the winger organized an after-party where he'd hand out free Rolex watches to guests. But he was left red-faced when leaks emerged that Rodri would rob him of 2024's biggest individual trophy, and so he refused to even attend the ceremony.
I wanted to show it up
as
either,
both him and his club felt there was a clear robbery that
I wanted to show it up either.
There is more to Vini
that whole
Jr.'s
debacle had me for the first and only time ever aligned with the Madrista boys, especially on Twitter. Everybody and their mama thought I was a Madrid fan. I had a whole bunch of new Madrid followers. Nah, I just know Vini got robbed.
That occurred. But there is more to Vini Jr.'s story that meets the eye, because to become the best player in the world, he had to fight through years of hate, rejection, and even racism. So, if you want to hear about that, you have to click on the video on screen now.
Preach it up. What is it really about, bro? Let me know. What is it really about? Talking about some fair play. Y'all ass funny, bro. Just tell us what it's really about, voters. Anyway, hey, shout out to man Top Bins for the class video as always, man. Always rock with Top Bins. Go subscribe to him right now. Go get that man to 80,000 subscribers. Go do it. Every player who should have won a Ballon d'Or and why. Like I said this year, if Ousmane Dembele win the Champions League, he's getting the Ballon d'Or. If they don't win, it's up in the air. It's either go between either him or Rafinha. I think that's the only two that is going to be in between. Hey, remember down in the comments what y'all think. I'm out.